Hey, it's me, Lime Time, your local hiker trash. I thru hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2022 and 23, and it was a long, long journey. And I also listened to a ton of podcasts along the way. I thought, why can't I make my own? So I did. This is Hiker Trash, a podcast about the Appalachian Trail with me and my friends that I made along the way, life on and off the trail. And I hope you enjoy it.
Hello and welcome to the Hiker Trash Podcast, Episode 1. I'm your host, Lime Time. Lime with a Y, not a I, sadly. And I'm joined here by Wipeout.
I'm Wipeout. Yes, I thru hiked Nobo 22, class of 22. Go strong.
Wipeout is a northbounder on the AT, a Philmont Ranger for 2 to 3 years. I kind of forgot. 2 years. An experienced backpacker. My random college roommate introduced me to backpacking and was my inspiration, actually, for hiking the AT.
Wow.
I mention you every single time people ask me.
Wow.
How.
I'm blushing.
And my best friend.
Now I'm crying.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. But yeah, man, just going into that, actually, of telling how you inspire me to hike the AT. That comes up every single time people ask me, because that's one of the most common questions you get on the trail is like,
yeah, what made you want to do it?
Yeah, what made you want to do it? And I always kind of go back a little further and talk about, I was car camping, and one day I was a tween or something, and woke up.
The whole character arc.
Well, yeah, I woke up, and I used to love car camping, and then woke up one day, and my dad's like cooking up bacon and eggs, and has all this like kitchen stuff, and I'm just like, why am I out here?
Why are we doing this in the woods?
Why can't I just play video games and do this at home? So
yeah.
It just wasn't challenging enough for me. I kind of like lost my love for not the outdoors, but just doing like hiking and outdoor rec and stuff like that. Then random roommate just turned out that everyone thought we were like brothers or some shit.
Yeah, everybody was like, oh, y'all have known y'all, like we had like planned to become roommates, like we knew each other from before.
Yeah. That everyone thought that. I mean, just through our friendship, you just took me out on trips, and those are still some of the fondest memories I have.
Yeah, man. I still, the Linville Gorge.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in and out of there all the time in college.
No, I literally have a question here. What's your favorite backpacking memory of us? And why is it when we got lost together in the Linville Gorge?
Yes.
Because growing up watching like survival shows, they're so popular, like Bear Grylls and stuff. Mm-hmm. You basically have a fantasy of like, I want to be lost in the woods at some point
and just find your way out.
Stupid, like we stupidly got lost, but maybe we wanted
There's no smart way to get lost. I mean, we didn't know what we were getting into, but we were like, this is gonna be like, we're gonna go bushwhacking for a bit.
Yeah,
and that was even when we were planning for the trip, and then by the time we were lost, by the time we were going in the direction to get lost, we were like, I guess we're bushwhacking down this stream. And we didn't know how long we were going to be doing that for. We didn't know we were going to do it for the rest of the day. But
dude, the waterfall's just...
Dude, I can hear it.
The river's right there.
I swear I can hear the river, and we hike down to it. We fight to it. We don't just hike down to it. It's just a little trickle.
Dude, we were
being echoed in the canyon.
We were busting our asses.
Oh, we were whacked in the face by rhododendron.
Well, I remember like literally falling on my ass, just trying to get down this stream.
Yep, yeah, falling over. God. I remember getting stung by a ton of nettle, like to the point where we literally got to some point where the sun was setting. It was dark.
Oh yeah,
I was like, I think I'd fallen over for like the 10th time, and it was dark, and I was like, dude, if we keep going, we're gonna break all of our legs.
Yeah.
So we were just like found not even a flat piece of ground, a gully to the side, and set up a tent and ate a couple bites of trail mix and went to bed.
Oh, I ate a lot.
Woke up to the next morning, and we were right next to the river.
Yes. Oh, that was incredible. I mean, I remember swimming over rhododendron essentially to like get to our campsite. Yeah. Which was it was on par with like the worst stealth sites I've had on trail, honestly.
Yeah, it was one of the worst camp. I mean, it wasn't a campsite. It was just like the best we could make
out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's a place you have to wonder if any human has ever been there before, because, like, why would you ever go there? And also, it's really difficult to get to.
But still, one of my favorite memories, because everything was just so intense. Like, we literally we were in so deep at that point, we kind of had to, like, use survival skills to like get out.
Yeah.
So I mean, just the climbing and like the descending and everything was amplified. I mean, we didn't have phone service. Like if one of us got hurt, we would honestly.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And then we had to wade across the river at least twice with our packs above our heads, and we found points to hand them off because it got too deep.
A lot of trust, man. That was a trust building.
That's how you bond with people, for real. I mean, you get through something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I think that goes directly into like the trail, honestly, and like
if you can do that, you can do something like that.
Yeah. Just trauma bonding. That is what it is, honestly. Yeah, man. So, how have you learned and grown through backpacking over the years, would you say?
I would say, so I started backpacking pretty young. Similar journey to like what you described with it. It was like you car camp for so long. And you enjoy that, but then I think eventually you outgrow it. Mm-hmm. At least in my experience, that was kind of what I came to. And then you get introduced to backpacking and you're like, oh, I get to use all those skills. I get to go more remote places with less people, push myself a little harder, sweat a little more, becomes more of kind of an exclusive club. Yeah, and then I did things like Philmont and some trips in college and before college. Yeah, and then as far as like growing as a person through it, wow. I think it sets kind of a certain headspace. Like I would say that with the backpacking community too. Like it's a certain kind of person that does it. And I think that's because of the type of hobby it is. I think it's something that makes you're by yourself a lot.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to like work with yourself, and I think that's another reason that kind of appealed to me early on, was like you got time to just burn some steam off, walk a bit, be alone with your thoughts. So I think that's definitely helped me grow as a person. And then like I said, it's just another way to push yourself. Like the amount of times I've been on a backpacking trip, Linville Gorge is an example. I had one right after high school that just like kicked my ass because of the heat. I mean, the AT, multiple days I got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
And it's really like kind of builds a bit of character, I think, when you're going through. Like it just takes a lot of, maybe it's stubbornness, maybe it's fortitude, but I feel like it's a good like concentration builder.
Yeah.
In a way.
Oh, it breaks you down. I think for me, those moments on trail where I was just so ready to just not
set
be
my
in that
tent up
situation.
here. Yeah.
I just want to be anywhere else but outside, actually.
But you can't, and then you're stuck miles away from anything, and you just have to deal with it.
That's
I think that
it forces you.
Yeah.
There is no option. There is no give up. Like you can't give up if you wanted to. I mean, you could.
You have to be your own.
You could call it a helicopter, you ask, but like
you get the SOS in the Garmin.
But come on, like you can't really do that.
Yeah,
realistically,
no.
And I think the meditation sort of side of it is very valuable.
I think walking is a simple enough act, but it takes enough energy. Like you got to think about where your foot's going. There's a lot to look at around you.
Yeah.
So you're not completely alone with your thoughts, but you have the perfect passive activity to keep your body busy while you think.
Yeah.
And just one more thing on the backpacking. I also think the connection to nature was something that backpacking helped me with grow. Since getting into backpacking, I studied biology in school. I'm now working in the environmental field. We're out here again camping. I feel like it's helped kind of push my life in that direction of engaging with the natural world around us. And I think that was started through backpacking and has followed me into my career and friendships and hobbies and every other element of my life.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember in college taking trips and just talking about biology, nature, and I knew a lot about it because you were studying it. And
it's interesting stuff.
Stuff. You can't help but think about it when you're just surrounded by nature and
And I think that's good. I think it's good to be involved in it, surrounded by it, immersed in it.
I mean, we were for basically all of human history until now. So
I think it's very natural.
Yeah. So, I said why I wanted to hike the AT. Why did you want to hike the AT?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I really asked you that before.
So it's been a long, long time coming for me. So when I was 16, I guess, 15 and into 16 was when I first really started backpacking.
Yeah.
And it was through the Boy Scouts, which was awesome because, I go from car camping and then it turns into kind of, through the Boy Scout organization. Once you get older, turns into a lot of babysitting.
I didn't get there. I just did car camping and I was out.
but yeah, well, exactly, because I was about at the same point. Like, you go car camping so many times, it's not interesting. You've done it before, and now there's a bunch of kids that you don't want to see like running around.
Yeah.
So backpacking whittled it down to just the older, more mature group that could handle something like pushing yourself through the woods. And I really enjoyed kind of that shift. And that was my age group, so it was all my like closest friends in the organization, like all got to do it together. And yeah, so I just fell in love with the like getting out there with a bunch of friends, and we during our like training hikes to get ready to go to New Mexico, we just did local stuff, and one of them was around the Triple Crown, like McAfee area, and we ran into some thru hikers, and they kind of, I remember his name was Bean Counter. He's like an old guy. And he told
Bean Counter
because he was an accountant. Yeah. So he had a blog, and he told us all about it and everything. But he was like, yeah, I'm walking from Georgia to Maine. And we were just like, that's stupid. What the hell are you talking about? And so anyways, I was like, well, shoot. I mean, I enjoy it so much. We did like a Philmont trek that was like 10 days. I was like, you're telling me I can do this for like 5 to 6 months? And also like, I can drink beer and like there's no some rules, Boy Scout rules about it, about where you need to be and when and everything. Like I was like, that sounds awesome.
I gotta admit, that's like the opposite of what I thought when I first backpacked.
Oh, really?
I was like, one night is plenty. Like,
yeah. Was our first trip the one that we schwacked through the gorge? Okay.
Definitely
Thank
not.
God, yeah.
No
you would have
way.
never done that shit again.
No,
I feel like...
No. We did some easier trips for it, and I think that's what you kind of got to learn. You can't
get thrown too deep in.
No, I mean, some people just go straight on through hike. But
that's true. Some people do, but that's still
ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
But so
that's
you think,
still more welcoming than just getting thrown into.
Yeah. So that's interesting though. Like you kind of were inspired by some people before, and then Philmont really instilled that to be like,
even before
I want to go.
Yeah. Even before we got to Philmont, I like was just enjoying the preparation campouts. We'd go for like one weekend a month and just do like 10-mile backpacking loop, just people to get ready to go to camp.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like I remember the contrast of like going backpacking with like all your best friends and then coming back and starting school on Monday was detrimental. And I was like, okay, I know which one I want to go with between the two. Yeah, so that's what I was like, if I can just live like this. And then, I like a bunch of other people, that get into this kind of thing. Like, I was reading Hatchet, and I was reading like Into the Wild. And I think that, I was like young and impressionable and like very taken by those stories. And, like, this is the proper way to live. You know, you got to get in your backpack and go hiking. So
it's cool.
That's what sent me down the rabbit hole.
So why did you choose to go northbound? And why is it the best?
So I chose to go Nobo because it was like in my mind, it was the way to do the AT, right? Like you start
it's classic.
And it's also being from North Carolina, I was like, I start kind of around home and I go into a place I've never been before. Like I like that kind of aspect of the journey. But then also like
it's like Lord of the Rings,
Exactly. Well, and in any good journey, I feel like you go deeper into
the unknown.
Yeah.
A guy on trail was actually like, yeah, dude, Frodo and Sam were the first through hikers. I was like,
yeah. And I met a lot of Frodos on trail. I met at least 2.
I met a Chodo.
Is it named after what I assume it's?
What?
His chode?
I guess. I never.
Oh, you didn't ask him?
I mean,
yeah, I probably wouldn't ask. Oh, your name's Chodo? Yeah, I don't know.
Just some like 20-year-old guy.
That's
was
funny.
Like, you fucking legend. He was honestly just trying to get laid like the entire time.
Trail tail chaser.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as why it's the best, even personal reasons, just like, you start with more familiar. Like we had been to Roan Mountain, we'd been to Grayson Highlands. Like I had seen a lot of the southeast kind of section. Yeah. And like the Triple Crown and Shenandoah.
Yeah.
So I knew kind of the southeast somewhat. I didn't know anything about the northeast. So that's what I wanted to like, start home, go far.
Yeah.
It's the way to do the AT, like you start in the south. It's got the perfect story structure to it as an adventure. You start in the south. The south is beautiful, I would say, in the AT. It's a great introduction. It's rugged, but it's not rugged like the north is, and it's still like beautiful in its own way. Like it has its highlights. You get the Smokies. You get like a bunch of different stuff in Virginia, the stuff that I mentioned before. You get really good stuff through North Carolina and Tennessee. It's all gorgeous. Then the lull of the trail is kind of that middle part, like, in my opinion, like the mid-Atlantic. Pennsylvania's pretty universally hated.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey is kind of fine. New York, Connecticut, Mass. You know, a lot of the times in those states, you don't even feel like you're in the woods. And it's just not as grandiose as being out in, like, for the first time in the Southern Appalachians. And then you hit the north, and then you're just in fantasy land.
Oh yeah.
After that. So I do, you know, you start with something that's like pretty good, but not the best. And then you go into your low point, and then you get the best right at the end of your journey.
Yeah.
And I feel like it kind of sucks you back into it.
I agree.
As opposed, like, you know, I feel like if I'm in Sobo, nothing in the South tops what you see in the Whites or in Lade. So, like, you would kind of see the best parts of the trail and then just be finishing it, as opposed to, like, do some really solid parts, hit a lull, and then know you have all that to look forward to be your, like, grand finale.
Yeah.
And I feel like throughout the trail, people give you, like, random advice if they're either, like, coming Sobo or had done it before. They're like, oh, you're gonna get to this point and this is gonna happen, or this is gonna blow your mind. And you go there and it's like a pile of rocks that you just like, who cares? But everybody was like, Maine's gonna blow your mind. The Whites are gonna be amazing.
You're like,
and,
I heard it before.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, yeah, sure. Kind of like that last overlook that guy told me about. But then you get there and you're like, this is everything I could have hoped it to be.
Yes. Yeah. I still am surprised growing up on the East Coast. I mean, I grew up in Atlanta, but still I'm surprised I never heard anything about the White Mountains.
About that area. Nope.
Ever. And the White Mountains are beautiful. I mean, hopefully I'm not promoting them too much to make them like overcrowded. You know?
It's a gem, and it's a bit of a hidden gem. Now for me, like, I kind of knew, like I said, I had done
researched. Yeah.
Well, no, I was going to say I had done a lot of the sections, a lot of the highlights in the southern portion, and I was pretty familiar with that. But I kind of intentionally didn't want to look north because I knew I was going to hike the AT at some point.
Yeah.
And I wanted to
be surprised.
I'm starting at home and going into the unknown.
Yeah.
That was a part of the journey I wanted to be just completely blind on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so worth it.
Yeah.
Holy cow. The feeling of climbing Mount Musalaki as an oboe, you're just like, I'm up with the gods right now.
What have I got myself in?
It's so cool.
I mean, that's basically how I approached the trail. Was like, I did minimal research, and I kind of paid for it as well because I had not the greatest gear and stuff to start. But I just love not knowing what I'm getting myself into.
Just jump in.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. Like,
and a lot of people do that. Like, a lot of people, like you said, like, it's their first backpacking trip ever, and they're through hiking the AT. And they start off, and it's rough, and then they get to whatever, Neil Gap, whatever
30 miles in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they change their gear and go.
They're good.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. So that's all good and all about the Nobo experience. There's one thing you didn't touch on though, and to me, the main thing for me that makes the Nobo experience good, like, yeah, it's good structure, but for me, the main reason it is the best way to hike it, and like, I didn't hike at Nobo, I was flip-flopper, so it's how much do I really know? But you know, I did a majority of it Nobo.
Yeah.
And it's the community for me is what really does it. I mean, I made amazing friends. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's the whole reason I'm able to kind of do this like podcast, is because I'm still good friends with so many people, and you just don't get this. I mean, you get it as a southbounder, but just not to the same extent. You don't get trail magic. You don't
trail
get that
magic at the beginning is amazing. Yeah.
You don't get that real community feel. I mean, there is totally a southbound community, I'm not gonna lie, but I met a bunch of them. Yeah, it's just a little more fractured than
especially towards the end. And I feel like the Nobo community, maybe there were pockets where I felt there weren't many people around me, but like pretty much throughout the whole trail it felt like there were people around.
And like, it's different for everybody, 'cause some people might actually not want that, but for me, I needed that shit some days. Like, I needed, especially as a solo, without those other hikers, like, I would have been miserable a lot of the time, because I wouldn't have had somebody to be like, man, wasn't that last section awful or whatever, you just got to commiserate, because nobody really knows except the people doing it. I mean, I would say even if you backpack the trail or whatever trail for like 200, 300 miles, you know what it's like. That's all it takes, in my opinion. Yeah. Just being out there for that long, I mean, you understand
what it's about.
It's your life. It's not just something minor. I mean, it is every day. You're just only concerned about these few things, which is, like shelter, food, water.
Yeah.
But there's kind of a beauty to that.
Yeah, it's
at the same
simpler
time.
way of living.
Yeah,
for
which
sure.
we'll go into that later.
Yeah, sure,
but
sure.
no, I think I want to talk about the community a little bit. Just because.
No, that's a huge part of it. Yeah,
just because that is, in my opinion, like probably the best part of the no-boat experience.
And like you say, maybe that's not for everybody. Like they like that more isolated feeling. But I feel like that's still there. Like if you stealth camp, you won't see many people at all.
Yeah.
Maybe in the beginning, like through Georgia and like the Smokies, there was a bunch of people. Well, the Smokies especially because everybody condenses down because you have.
Yeah, I always love those sections where everybody gets shot. I mean, it's kind of
like Vermont. No, it's
terrible in a way because you like shelters just get packed.
I feel like by the time you get to the north, either there's more space or maybe people are more spread out.
Oh, no, dude.
No?
Shelters were full in the 100 Mile for me.
Well, I guess, shelters were. I guess I did a lot of stealth in the 100 Mile.
I mean, I always prefer stealthing unless it's raining, essentially.
Yeah.
But when it's raining, so does everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And then the shelter's sopping wet. Yeah. But the community's freaking awesome. I mean, so many interesting people, so many great people, so many, people you try to avoid. But like that adds to the dynamic too.
So I just talked about how, just generally how, I was helped through some tough times. Was there any times for you? I mean, you did a little different than me because you kind of had a tramway the whole way.
Yeah.
Was there any time where like you sort of got something from a trail angel or another thru hiker? Just I mean, it could be anything in terms of help or just help you through like a tough time or any tough moments on trail. Like, was there anything like that? Because I can say something if you need to think.
Yeah, let me think about it.
Okay. So for me personally, there was many moments, especially right after I was really alone for the first time because I started with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 350 miles later, I got Lyme's disease, blah, 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 got cured, got back, and I'm alone. I'm just totally alone. I have to figure out everything by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the first times I'm like really going alone, I try to look for a hotel. Couldn't find the hotel. Was in the middle of nowhere. New Jersey man comes out of his house threatening me with a baseball bat. He's like, "Hey, get the fuck out of here."
Really? Oh my gosh.
I told you about this.
I don't think so.
Wait, are you serious?
Not you were threatened with a baseball bat.
Yes. Dude,
Jeez.
I was trying to find a hotel that was like, we got one smoking room left. And I was like, fuck it.
I'll take it. I'll smoke in your room.
Well, it's because I didn't plan. It took way too long for me to plan. And so I go and I'm like, I don't care. I just want a bed. Whatever. Smells like cigarette smoke. I don't care. Yeah. So I get there and it's a fruit stand in the middle of a field. I'm like, I don't need this.
You walked there?
Yeah. It was a mile down this super busy road where I thought a car was going to kill me.
Yeah.
And then, it's a fruit stand. I'm like, where the hell am I? So I go and I'm trying to call like other hotels. I'm trying to call an Uber to get out of there. And I'm just standing in the road. I'm not standing on anyone's property. And this guy in New Jersey, this guy just comes out of his house. Yeah, thick, like New Jersey accent. He's like, "Hey, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to ever see you around here again." He's like, yeah, has a metal baseball bat in his hand.
Oh my gosh.
Like, walking up to me, threatening me. And I'm just like, holy shit. I mean, it shakes you up a little bit. I mean,
no kidding.
I've never been threatened with a baseball bat before, but it's pretty fucking scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, what do you think I'm doing? Like, the AT's like a mile down the road. What do I look like to you? You know?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why he was upset. He's like, "You goddamn hikers, keep coming through here."
But it shook me up pretty bad. And I just remember I like go to the other side of the road. I like just get away from this guy. I'm looking behind my back, thinking he's going to like come out and run me over with his car or something, just cause I'm in the moment, shaking up. I'm trying to call an Uber. My phone dies. I plug it into my power bank.
Oh my gosh.
Get an Uber. This is the only Uber I got the entire trail because most places you just can't get Uber. There's just, it's not.
No, that's why they have the trail magic.
Exactly. The shuttles,
around,
yeah. But so only Uber on the whole trail. The guy shows up. His name is Ramen. I think. I hope I'm not butchering his name, but that's how it was like spelled.
Nice. AT classic.
Ramen. And this man, I like tell him what I just went through. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I went, and as I'm waiting for him to pick me up, I just cry for a second. I'm just like, damn, bro, this day has been tough.
Man.
And anyway, he pulls up, and I'm like, thank God, this guy just saved my life. So I get in, and this dude is just, oh, how's it going? And I like tell him my experience, and he's just like, see, you are like a sword being, I forget exactly what he said.
He gave you like a proverb?
Yeah, he was like, through every tough experience, it's like a sword, and the hammer hitting the sword is the atoms compressing and becoming stronger with every hit. And I'm just like, damn, bro, this is what I needed to hear.
That's amazing.
And then he's just telling me his perspective on like the world and the universe. He's like talking about dark matter. I'm like, dude, this is exactly what I needed to hear right now. Like just some guy, you know, talk about what he just spreading some good vibes. And it's just interesting because that New Jersey guy did stick with me for a while, but it's really the positive people that it was the bigger takeaway. So like him, and then I got to the hotel that I was going, which was super expensive, by the way, but it was like the only option I really could have gone.
Yeah.
And there was this super sweet New Jersey mom who's just, I like kind of tell her like what I went through. She's like, oh honey, oh my, and she's just like so kind to me.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting, people that I just would not have, that I maybe wouldn't have shared so much in a regular scenario. You kind of rely on these people a little bit more when you're a thru hiker. You're more vulnerable, and you see sides of people. I mean, you see like the side of that New Jersey guy, but at the same time, he's the exception. Most other people were so interested or understanding or
willing to help.
Exactly, people that never even heard of the trail. I don't know. It made me feel so much more like connected to other humans and like to not just the trail community, but just everyone.
That's a great point.
You know? And
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that whole experience really helped me out a lot. Like those people really helped me through stuff like that. And through the whole trail, I mean, I got help.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah, that's why I think it's difficult for me to think of an instance.
Yeah.
You are reliant on the kindness of strangers.
Yeah.
So much on the trail.
And other hikers
much.
Too.
Well, strangers still, like just other people. And I think the whole community, maybe it's a testament to, you know, the challenge of hiking up the East Coast United States. Maybe it's the area it's in is a kind area, but I mean, yeah, that's one thing you definitely see. And then, you know, in any situation, you become your environment. You know, that rubs off on you, and that creates a better headspace and a more willingness to help. And I mean, for me, I did Trail Magic. I know you're on a trip up to go do Trail Magic. Like, you do want to feed into that. You want to
give back.
Going.
Yeah.
And you know, you get some of that back in, you know, the cities and the real world, but you know, that's something that really exists tightly, like a defining feature of the community, and it's really awesome. I mean, in my experience, like, I would have never thought hitchhiking was so easy, and maybe it's because the trail's around, but like, holy cow. You just throw a thumb up, you get picked up in like 5 minutes. Like, better than any Uber, better than any shuttle service. Like,
yeah. Also for me, just sharing that it, like I said, it's shared trauma, like I was kind of talking about before.
Yeah.
That is what really gets everyone close, in my opinion.
I think so too.
It's just a big shared experience that you have with everybody.
And it's challenging.
You can just look at someone, and not all the time, but most of the time, you can just look at someone, and based on a few things, like, you know, whatever, you're generally not supposed to judge people, but like, you kind of know if somebody's a thru hiker.
It's pretty damn obvious.
They got the darn tusk, that they got like some trail runners.
They look like they've been in the sun a little too long. They're unshaven. They got an ultralight backpack on.
Semi-homeless, but they have expensive gear.
Yeah. Yep.
Probably a thru hiker.
You can spot them pretty darn easily. Yeah.
You automatically have a bond, essentially. Doesn't matter who they are.
It's something about having this shared goal. And as we've said a million times already, the challenge of it. I mean, you're walking in the rain, you're walking in the snow, you're walking uphill, you're walking downhill, you're twisting your ankles or stubbing your toes, like
falling down.
And everybody is worried about the food that they're eating, what shelter they're going to get to that night. So everybody's got so much in common to just like kind of focus on. Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to meet people.
Yeah, dude. There was a couple times where hikers would like offer help to me, and I would just be like, dude, you are in the same position as I am.
Yeah.
You're offering me help. It's crazy how generous some people were, really, that I met on trail.
Yeah. Whether it's food or rides, I mean, people were extremely generous.
Okay, here's a good one. How has the sense of community you felt on trail influenced your perspective on relationships and support in your life now?
Wow, yeah, okay. That's a great question. I do feel like through trail, it does, because you get thrown into this fishbowl of people, right? You don't know anybody. You're going through this somewhat traumatic experience, this challenging experience. So you're really reaching to grab out to people, and you realize how important that is. Like when you're going through, when you're A, alone, and B, going through something physically challenging, emotionally challenging, mentally challenging, like the trail, you realize how important those connections are. And even just going through like the small rural towns and hostels and places you can stay, there's such a tight sense of community within those ones. It's, you know, somebody knows somebody who knows somebody in the neighborhood that can like take you somewhere, and everybody relies on one another. Like you rely on the community on the trail.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think it definitely did kind of change the way I looked at the community around me. Like I feel like before I was very gung-ho, you know, get away from home. I want to go, you know, to the mountains. I want to go far away. I want to see the world. And I think I found more peace and more happiness now, like within community. Instead of focusing on how can I get to this end of the world, it's like, let me, you know, nurture the relationships with the people I have over things like that. And I think that's been a good life lesson for me.
That's a great point, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't even think about that, but I feel like I should do that more. Just rely on other people. It's not weak. I feel like in our society, it's almost seen as weak if you rely on other people.
You have to be independent. You have to be self-reliant.
It's like so sought after.
And everything's so much better if you can just rely on other people. And they rely on you, and you give and take.
Exactly.
I think staying at a lot of the hostels that kind of operated as farms and like took people in, let people stay, or were just like farms run by the locals there. Communities like that, like those like gardening, farming communities, I feel like were very reliant on one another. And I think that made a huge impact. Like, I think it really did. I think that's, like I said, as opposed to setting my sights towards getting as far away as possible. I was like, oh, maybe it is the people that count. Maybe you can go to the highest mountaintop and still be a little alone, but you need like that community to come with you. I was also, me and my family were reading like a ton of nonfiction books. After reading through a couple things, there was like a lot of emphasis on the relationship between happiness and community. And that's one of like the few things that are directly correlated when it comes to human happiness. People with good family ties and a strong sense of community and close friends around them, those are the people that are happy more than the people that have traveled the most or had the financial success or career success or, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was a huge lesson I learned 5 months of the AT. Yeah.
I think I need to take that to heart more often because I can forget some lessons I learned on trail.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I was recently on another kind of a trip. And we talked about like when every day is so exceptional, they kind of blend together and things get forgotten. Like if you're just living the mundane life and an exceptional day happens out of the blue, that like kind of stands alone in your brain. But if one day you're hiking 20 miles, the next day you go into town and see this wild thing, and the next day you see a bear, and the next day you meet like this crazy homeless dude. Yeah. Like it all kind of like, can't remember every single detail of every moment.
Exactly.
So it's important to record it and relive it with like.
Speaking of, you know, now that we're both done with the trail.
Yeah.
You've been done for a year now.
Yeah, I just had my year anniversary of Summiting Katahdin like a week ago.
Congrats,
August
man.
10th. Yeah.
Congrats.
It's the 18th
awesome.
now, I think. So 8 days. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let me ask. Everybody's wondering.
The folks at home.
Really just me. How you doing? How's your body doing? I know at first you were like, my body is permanently altered from this. So
yeah.
Is it still, do you think?
I think so. I've also, you know, my lifestyle has changed, so like I'm not working out in the same ways. I used to be a bit of a runner. I basically haven't been a runner since getting back from the AT. I tried to go on some runs after the AT, probably a little too early, and really just like was in so much pain.
Yeah.
I think that was because my joints were still trying to recover from hiking and abuse for 5 months. I probably will pick it back up if I can. I've also, you know, been working in the office, the lifestyle changed like
Sitting down all day.
All day. Yeah. So I definitely feel a little more stiff in my day-to-day. I'm also just getting older, you know? But yeah, I mean, I remember when I first got back, my body was in full recovery mode. I mean,
shambles.
Just shambles, yeah. I mean, just months of abuse. And I mean, you know, probably not the best. I wasn't keeping the best care of my body I could have on the AT.
How was your...
It's hard to do because you're just tired.
Oh, no, it's
like,
impossible.
You know, I should really stretch. I should eat a little better. Like, maybe I should have done this better.
You just can't. You just don't have access.
It's hard. And by the time you get to the whites and make, that's when all the rock crawling happens. And you're really just...
You're just pushing through.
You're just going.
You're just grinding through at that point. How was your diet after? Because for me, I kind of struggled with that, with eating way too much.
Oh, I ate a ton of
burgers and all the heavy
anything
trail
that was
food.
not processed.
Yeah, that when you're on trail, you're just like,
it's a delicacy.
You know, you just gobble it up because you burn it in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Get back to real life but you get back to regular life. And I put on weight right after I got off because I was just so used to eating this.
Yeah, just taking so many calories. Yeah. I definitely ate a lot. I think, I don't know, there were just like strange things with my energy levels. It might have been because of the change of diet. It was probably a lot to do with, you know, not sleeping very well on the trail because you're sleeping on the ground. It's probably to do that I was just expending the most energy I ever had in my life for like 5 months straight. So there was definitely like a hard crash while I was trying to let my mind and body recover. Like I was sitting in my room all day and I was like, you know, I know this is good for me, but like I feel like I should be out doing
boring.
Yeah, exactly. Like I still have that kind of energy. But yeah, it was kind of a long, like I can't even really say when things got back to normal because I still feel like even months and months after finishing the trail, my energy levels were still kind of wonky. My relationship with food was still kind of wonky. And I really felt like I had to relearn how to interact with people because on the trail, everyone's a thru hiker and you go stir crazy and you talk about the same couple things because everybody has the same kind of goals and ideas. Or you're just like with a tramily, so it's like one group the whole time, or the vice versa is you're just seeing new people. So like you don't, you know, you try to meet people, but like they could be gone the next day, and that's just it. So it's hard to invest a lot in like strangers. So getting back, I feel like I had to really like relearn how to interact with people. I feel like it took a while for my social battery to come back too, because going Nobo, you're always around strangers all the time. So like I got back home and it was like, okay, let me just like rest for a while.
Yeah, actually that's kind of one thing I was going to ask you about is what do you miss the most about the trail? And for me, it is things you've already brought up and talked about, which is one, every day is a new day. And it's true in regular life, like you kind of don't know what's going to happen, but on the trail especially, you got no idea what's going to happen.
No idea what you're going to see, what you're going to run into.
Just no idea what's going to happen. So it's always so exciting because what people are you going to meet? What things will you see? What animals might you see? What experiences? Like it's all new every single time. And it's just so incredible. And so that, and then the people as well is a community of people that for me, since I was solo, it was always shifting, you know, it was always like, I was in this little bubble and then I go to this bubble, see how it is over here. And, you know, you make great friends. You make really great friends so fast with so many people.
Yes.
I don't know. I just love that part of it. And I truly do miss making friends and always every day being socially engaged all the time. I'm just a fairly social person. I mean, we're all social to an extent as humans, but man, I miss that. I miss the people on trail.
And you kind of, and I guess everyone does, which is why the social dynamic is so loose and easy to navigate. Like, you know, I mean, you've been hiking for months. You're just a sweaty ball of gross smell. You got like facial hair unshaved and you're like sunburned all, like you just don't give a fuck. You're like, I don't really care what people think about me at this point. Like you roll into town. I remember eating at like nice restaurants.
That's hiker trash.
Table for one. Give me every appetizer on the menu. Families on vacation are looking over me. I'm just like, do not care at all.
So I actually want to go on a tangent. That's why I named it hiker trash, because everybody that thru hikes at some point is hiker trash. Because
I'd say the majority of the time,
how you look, how you feel, you don't give a fuck. Exactly right there. Any hiker, any thru hiker going into a restaurant immediately looks totally out of their element. They just look.
People are dressed up. They showered that morning. They're in suits and nice ironed shirts. And then you just roll in with the same Smart Wool shirt you've been wearing for 2 months straight. And yeah, like a headband on, and your scraggly facial hair, and oh my gosh. And like women's running shorts on and your hairy legs. Like, it's so.
But I also felt like I had almost more confidence than I ever have in my life. Like, you just don't care at all.
You just don't care. It's so freeing. It's so freeing.
It
like,
is.
I'm just a slime ball. Who cares? You feel like a badass. You're like, I basically own this room. Like,
you're like, yeah, I just like 20 miles today.
Like,
what do
yeah,
you chumps do?
You feel like you've earned everything. You're like, yeah, I'm in here. I look like shit. I just hiked all this time. Give me all your food.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, and it didn't take long. At least for me, I don't know. Maybe I was eager to get into maybe I'm just a trashy person to begin with. But I remember like going to Gatlinburg and being like eating leftovers off other tables as they left, if they like left a slice of pizza behind.
I never did that.
I remember, yeah, we were in Gatlinburg and like this family left like a whole half a pizza.
Okay,
and my body, I mean, it doesn't take long for your body to start craving calories. I mean, by the time you get to the Smokies, you've been burning calories for a long time.
Hunger is set.
So like, I'm just sitting there starving. Like, I got a couple beers in. I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, can you box that pizza out for me? Like, is that too trash? And he's like, nah, dog, I got you.
He's like, it happens all the time. Probably.
He's like, I could tell by the way you looked when you walked in, you're gonna be stealing leftovers. But oh my gosh, yeah.
So that's another part we just touched on, is the liberation you feel, like the freedom. It's truly like nothing I've ever experienced in my life. Yeah. Just having everything you own on your back. It's incredible.
I think foot travel is a great way to experience an area. Like, I feel like you get so intimately involved with the area, with the land that you're on, like with the state that you're in, with the town that you're passing through. You don't just hop in an Uber and hop across town. You walk to the end of town, to the Dollar General, and then walk back. It's a great way to get to know an area that you're traveling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't vacation very far very often, but like if I were to ever, visit Europe or visit like a part of the world I'd never been before, I think I would try to do it without a rental car or anything. Like, just keep it small, keep it in a backpack, and hitchhike if you have to, and walk the rest of the way.
It'd be much more doable in Europe as well.
Yeah, it would.
Through hiking in America just makes you realize how horrible walking places in America is.
But and then you also like relying on public transportation and thumbing and walking. You meet all sorts of people. You get to know the area better because you like get a ride from somebody who lives there, and you're like, what's your life like? Whereas you can vacation to a place and kind of stay in a bubble and keep it on the outside of that bubble. Go to the tourist things and hop in a taxi and come home, as opposed to like throwing yourself in the middle of the city and what do you do around here?
I also always loved the freedom of it, because if I don't like somebody that's around me, which is fairly rare, I mean, it's happens every once in a while.
You get somebody who talks a little too much,
or just some like really negative person, whatever. Just walk away. It's that simple. You never have a bad neighbor for very long on trail. I mean, you might if y'all are just walking the same pace.
Yeah, but like, oh, these guys again.
Yeah, right. Either you slow down or you walk faster, and never see them again, essentially.
We had a group, my family, around us that they were fine. They were nice guys. They were a little strange. We didn't like them that much, but we like kept running into them, and we were hiking the same place for a while, and eventually we outpaced them, and we were like, okay, we're good, we got away.
Let's keep it up.
They just like skipped a section of trail because they heard it was boring. Like all three of them did, and like caught right back up to us. And we're like, oh my god! I think that happened like twice. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, you see somebody, in Georgia, and then you don't see them again to New Hampshire, and you're like, oh my god, you've been 6 miles ahead of me in the shelter logs this entire time. Yeah. I guess the flip side of that though is, you see somebody. You get along really well, you hike several days together, and then, you just say, okay, go enjoy your hike. You don't even get a real goodbye, and then you just never see them again.
Yeah, there was many fake goodbyes on trail where I'd be like, all right, I might not see you again. And then, immediately the next day, there they are.
Or like you assume you're going to see them later, but then something happens and you stop. And then you just never see them again.
That's the most tragic when I'm like, damn, why didn't I get that person's number? Why because I really do like to stay in contact with some people. Not that
I got a lot of like social medias and stuff, and it's really cool to follow people post. Because a lot of the people post trail are out doing more trails, or at least staying involved with the outdoor community, doing stuff like that. So it's a really cool community in that way.
Awesome. Okay, so since it's Hiker Trash podcast, we've talked about hiker trash a little bit.
We touched on it.
Let's have some trash talk. Let's do a little trash talk. Baby.
Okay, I see what you're doing here. yeah.
All right, so just trash talk, just discussing hiker trashing things. I'm just gonna ask you some questions if you've ever done it, and let's gauge your hiker trashiness.
Oh, I like this. It's like a little segment. Yeah.
All right. So I already know the answer to this, but I'll ask you anyway. Have you ever hitched a ride to or from town? What was it like? Maybe just tell your, I don't know, like a memorable hitching story or something.
Oh man, every hitch is memorable because it's always just some person that, and I always made an effort to figure out what they were doing, picking random people up on the side of the road. So I got a hitch one time in like a brand new Ford Bronco. That was pretty sweet. I was like, "What you doing picking my scrappy ass up?" And you're like literally bought off the lot like the day before.
No way.
And that was just some couple that lived in the area. That's like, "Oh yeah, we get thru hikers here all the time." I got picked up one time to go to the drive-in movie theater that you can camp. I think that's in Mass.
Yes.
Or maybe it's New York. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, that was like just some hippie couple, some old hippie couple that's like, "Oh, we hitchhike all the time back in the 70s, so we just pick people up." One time I got one in a Tesla. It was just some woman that came up to me in the supermarket while I was resupplying and was like, "Do you need a ride? Like, do you need a ride back to trail?" I was like, "Sure, yeah, I mean, please." And she was like, "Yeah, I'll just get you."
Oh, she offered you?
She came up to me in the store, yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. So, I mean, every hitch, I feel like, you just throw your thumb up. There was the one that we did when you and Evan.
That was amazing.
That was one of the better hitches. And then we got the same lady picked us up the next morning. Yeah, I mean, every hitch I thought was just always, because whenever you need a hitch, you're desperate to get a hitch.
Yeah.
So like it's always memorable. Yeah.
For me, a hitching related story, I didn't actually get hitched. Well, I got hitched to this town. It was actually when I was trying to catch up with you, and I was like so close to catching up. I was like, "Oh, I lost my tent stakes." Spoiler alert, they were in my bag the whole time, and I bought fucking nails.
Oh wow!
I bought like heavy ass iron nails. I was trying to come out of the town, and I was putting my thumb up. Oh my god! I got so many just dirty looks from people.
Really?
Being like, "This piece of shit asking for a hit." Like so many people.
I guess some people have that.
Like nod, like shaking their head.
Most of the time, if you can show them, if you can kind of hold your hiking poles in view on the road, they'll be like, "Oh, this isn't just some random guy."
I mean, I have my pack on. I mean,
everybody has a pack on. You show them the hiking poles, you're like, "Look, I'm a hiker."
Oh, that really does it. I just feel like being a solo guy does not lend you favors.
It's a lot less. But also, if you were a solo girl, I think I'd be a little less comfortable hitchhiking. But no, the worst was a bunch of thru hikers came to a road crossing around the same time. Then all of a sudden, you have like 8 people with their thumbs up. Like,
that's
no one's stopping.
I think there's this.
No one is stopping.
Like, I would say like 3.
I think 3
people.
max.
That's a good amount.
Maybe 4. But
2
to
3. 2 to 3.
Yeah, 4 is pushing it. 3 is like fine.
Because 2 you can still fit in a
you can squeeze
Prius or whatever.
Yeah. And then I went on a road trip earlier this season with my partner, like kind of down Shenandoah, like kind of doing the southern portion of the trail, just like hitting the highlights by car.
Yeah.
And we hitched a couple of thru hikers to their like place they were staying in Luray and like farther down too.
That's cool.
Yeah. So.
But yes, you are hiker trash for hitching all the time because
it was great.
You did a lot. I didn't do it as much as you.
It was so easy. It was so easy.
I got to give you props. You are.
Yeah, I mean, like if there were 2 groups at a stop and somebody called the shuttle and somebody put a thumb up, the thumb up won every time. Like they would always beat them before the shuttle got there.
Wow. Yeah, that's actually incredible.
Shout out to the AT community for being good hitchhikers, kicker-uppers, I guess.
Okay, what's the most hiker trash trail name you came across? And if you know, how did they get the name? If you need to take a second, I have
Give me an example of what is a hiker trash trail
So
name.
for me, I'm at this guy named Walmart.
Okay.
On trail. And I guess it's not just the name. I guess it's like who he is. Walmart specifically is a guy who has thru hiked for years. He it's like his 3rd or 4th or 5th. I don't even know. He's hiked it multiple years. He basically does it for a living. where I guess
he's essentially helping
people donate to him.
On
Facebook.
Huh.
And he's a cool guy, but he was hiking with a friend of mine, and he was like having so much Facebook donations. He was like able to fund both him and a friend for food and
not
like gear and everything.
Yeah.
The epitome of hiker trash to me. Just 40s-year-old guy, just living life out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't have a hiker trash name, you can just any like silly trail name, I guess. There's so many.
One that I heard early on was a guy named Blacklight.
Oh no, that sounds kind of It sounds kind of bad.
He's going already. He's like he was the type of guy, and this was anecdotal. I never met the guy, but I guess he was around me at some point. He would come into the shelter and be like, "I never tell anybody why I have my name." And then by the end of the night, he's like, "All right, gather around. Let me tell you the story."
Oh my.
And the story is that he had a wet dream in a shelter. And I guess he's at least somewhat proud of it. I mean, it's a hilarious story. It's a pretty tragic way to get a trail name, I guess.
I guess that's hiker trashy just in the extent of not caring.
Yeah, he's just giving up. Yeah, I came to shelter. Whatever, man.
That's amazing. Now, were you a big stealth camper? And if you are, what's the most unique spot you camped on your thru hike?
I wouldn't describe myself as a big stealth hiker, although I did stealth camp a lot. And even at shelters, like if I went to a shelter, I would generally tent as opposed to sleep in the shelter. Let's see. I mean, but Tramley camped on the Tinker Cliffs for sunset, which was awesome, which technically you're not allowed to do. So maybe sleep that part out. That was a great place to stealth camp just because of the views during the sunset there. And nowhere else was around because you're not supposed to stealth camp there. Another one I can remember is one of the nights I camped by myself, and it was like by this little ways off the road, little bridge on the trail with a little rock beach.
That's cool.
And it was a very zen little spot to be by myself and sit on the rock beach and, cook a little something and set up a little campfire right on where this little brook was going under the bridge.
I love camping right by some running water like that.
Yeah, it was so really peaceful. Nice. And I don't even remember where it was. I think it was in kind of one of those like lesser states, like Pennsylvania, like kind of mid-Atlantic states. But yeah, I remember it being a very nice sight by myself.
Yeah, I've stealthed a lot, especially since I was solo. Maybe the most hiker trash spot I camped was in Maine, actually, right after the what's the hardest mile on
the
trail?
Mahoosuc?
The Mahoosuc.
The Mahoosuc.
No, not the Mahoosuc. The Mahoosuc Mile. After that, it was the sun was setting, and there's a campsite right after it. Mm-hmm. And so I get to this campsite, and it's like so full. There's just so many people there. That's kind of odd, but I'm just like, fuck this. I just don't like camping around a ton of people. So I was just like, maybe I can just find a stealth spot. There's always a stealth spot, like a little up ahead. So I climbed the arm. Yeah. And
in the dark,
that thing is straight up. That is some of the most straight up.
People
climbing.
Will tell you that's the hardest climb on the trail. I mean,
I was just doing it at like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I literally had to just stop. I just had to stop because my body would not keep going. Consume a bag of jerky. Just keep going. And I remember just being like, I guess this will do. And it was the worst camp spot. I probably camped the whole trail. The most clear space. It was like half the size of my tent, which is not a big tent. and it was like enough of a rectangle to put my shit down and be like, okay, this is going to be it for the night. And I know there's going to be people walking by me in the morning just being like, what the fuck did that guy do?
Yeah. Man. So while we're on the topic of stealth camping, Maine, if you're camping at shelters in the 100-mile wilderness, you're doing it wrong. I feel like that's a great place to stealth camp.
Oh my god!
You can camp on a sand beach. Yeah. I mean, it's great. And I'll just say this too. Like, man, there were a couple of nights where I was in a similar boat, just like tired. Sun was setting. I was like, I just want to eat right now. I'm so hungry, and I would just like set up in just the shittiest spot. A mud pit like a couple steps away from trail in like a giant valley, and I'm like, well, this is the flattest I got. I can't even fully set up the tent. Yeah, man, that happened more than once. That's some hiker trash. You're like, this will do. This is flat enough ground.
You just gotta live with it for one night. That's it. You just hit your limit. You just hit your limit at a certain point.
You do. Sometimes, some days you just time out. You just gotta this sleep. Is where I'm sleeping.
Yep, yeah, exactly. All right. Did you participate June 21st in Hike Naked Day?
I did.
Ballsy
pretty much the entire day naked. I remember it being a shorter day.
Well, I thought you had like a loincloth.
I had a loincloth.
Wow. So you weren't truly naked.
I had a fanny pack, and I tucked my towel into my fanny pack to create a loincloth so my dick wasn't hanging out.
Wow.
I did hike at least part of it with the loincloth off, and I'd throw it down real quick, and it got to the point where I was like, I'm just gonna keep it down. Like, I feel a little more comfortable with it down, you know?
You weren't that primal. You weren't that hiker trash to just go full nude.
I was full nude for at least a little bit of it. But yeah, I mean, the loincloth, if you want to consider that clothing, I did have a towel over just enough.
I mean, it's
over my
basically nothing.
I mean, the cheeks were out. Yeah, that was funny. And there was like, honestly, like, I don't know, some kids that had just graduated high school around us at the time. And we were like joking, like, can you do Hike Naked Day? And they're like, what is that? And we're like, oh yeah, tomorrow is Hike Naked Day. And I think they said they were like getting picked up by their parents or something. And I was like, sorry guys. And they're like, I can't believe they're picking us up on a Hike Naked Day of all days. Yeah, I'm glad I did it. I wouldn't say like I'm hiking naked again from now on. You know, like I felt some bug bites.
Yeah, that's
it was fun to do.
So I at the time when I was on trail, we were far apart, but I knew you were hiking naked, and I was like, should I not? I don't know. I had just hiked the past day, and I had passed some families. I was like, dude, I can't do that if I'm naked. Like, I'm just not doing that.
Yeah.
Thank God. So I can't own up and be like, wow, I was such hiker trash. I did. But honestly, don't care, because I passed multiple families, and not just on any section. It was a boardwalk section. So I would have had to just like jump off into this
There's
bog.
no hiding. People would see you from miles away.
Exactly.
They'd see you coming, or they'd see you going.
Exactly.
That's so fun.
I went shirtless for a little while. That's the most I did, though. I couldn't pull myself to actually just go full nude. No, I couldn't do it, and I'm so glad I didn't. I would have caught multiple charges that day.
Yeah, I saw a couple people, but nothing too bad.
I mean, I actually saw. There's a very strange sight. I saw like a dude in like a man thong one day. Not on Hiker Naked Day.
He was just out there.
And his wife or partner or friend, I don't know what dynamic they had going on. She was like fully clothed. He was just like in a thong.
Yeah, that's some kind of a dynamic happening right there.
I was like, what is going on over here? Anyway.
Yeah. I would recommend doing Hike Naked Day just for the experience already.
I don't know, man. I gotta be on some remote section.
Yeah, you do. You know, shot. You want to do it on the border. You're exposed to the sun those days.
All right. What is the longest you went without showering?
Not that long.
Really?
Honestly, there were some people I was around that were trying to do some sort of challenge. The Dirty 30, you don't shower for a month.
Oh my.
I had done a backpacking trip through Philmont that I led that was 21 days, and I didn't shower the whole time. And I'm like, I don't need to do that again. Like, it is like, it's a challenge. Like, how long can you go without showering? Like, I get the idea. Mm-hmm. I did it before, but I did it once, and I was like, I don't need to prove anything anymore. I know I can get fucking dirty. So probably, more than 10 days. But I would shower every stop and
in your life, 21 days.
21 days is my record.
So
it was a backpacking trip, and I reeked. Oh my God.
Well, so for me, there just got to be a certain point where you just didn't even like care or smell it anymore.
No, even through hiking. Now I will say, like with through hiking, you don't smell yourself as bad as other people smell you.
Yeah.
Like you still smell yourself. Like if I lifted my arm, I would get a whiff. So you smell bad regardless of how much you shower.
One day is all it takes, really.
Yeah.
Smell bad.
Yeah, exactly. You can wash your clothes as many times as you want after you've sweated in them every day for 4 months. They're gonna smell terrible too.
Yeah. I think the longest I went was probably close to 2 weeks.
Yeah. So,
like I said, you just hit a certain point where like I just truly felt like a monkey again. Yeah, you just don't care. You just do not care at a certain point.
Not at all.
I do remember when y'all showed up to our apartment before I was just through hiking, and I was like, y'all need to get in the saddle right now.
Yeah. I remember my family like visited me in Harper's Ferry, and my mom was like, "Holy shit, you smell so bad."
I always try to apologize in advance to shuttles.
But a lot of the shuttle people are like, "Yeah, I mean, you're a hiker. Yeah, like it's not that bad." Like I'd ask them too. Like I'd be like, "How bad do we smell?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, you smell like a hiker. I mean, not good." Yeah.
Okay. What is your finest ramen recipe? And why do I already know it's ramen and peanut butter?
It's not probably ramen and peanut butter.
Really?
Although I have done that.
That was a college classic.
It's not bad. You know what is good is if you put peanut butter or anything, you put a little Cholula in it, you put a little heat to your peanut butter, you mix it up. It's like a hot peanut sauce.
It's like a Thai.
It's like Thai food.
It's like a
exactly
like a Thai
right.
peanut.
It's like an Indian like cuisine. Yeah.
Getting fancy with it.
Yeah. I mean, my go-to ramen was ramen. Obviously, flavor pack it. Get as many salts as you can. Chunk chicken, dash of olive oil, and some hot sauce. Ooh, and cheese.
Okay.
I'd get a pack of shredded cheese a lot at resupply, and I'd be sprinkling that.
What, some mozzarella, some Mexican
blend,
nice.
Mexican 3 cheese blends, yeah. But yeah, that's a good ramen recipe right there.
I just know you're a big ramen guy, so I just
big ramen. I mean, it's cheap, it's light, it fills you up. It's hard to beat when you're backpacking.
Yeah,
it's really hard to beat. It's just so cheap, it's so light. Like you can be like, with your budget, you can be like, okay, I'm buying supplies. You could keep it cheap, and you're like, okay, this dinner packet here that I got is $5, and you're like, ramen's like 79 cents. I'd say you buy like an adventure meal thing's like $10 or $15. Like ramen is less than $1, and you just can't beat it in that regard.
It even beats the north sides.
Yeah, literally, and I think it's better than the north side. I'm not a huge north side. Yeah, yeah, hot take.
Wow.
I don't think most thru hikers give up on north sides.
A lot of people are still eating it.
Yeah,
like,
people. You're right. Yeah, people like it. For the same reason. It's light. It's easy. It's very cheap.
I can't lie. I'm not a huge ramen guy. I did eat it somewhat on trail, but
I'd usually try to get some more real dinners and then fill out with ramen. Be like, okay, and then I'll do a ramen night during this next jump.
I feel like the most standard meals like ramen, tuna. That's mainly the main ingredients.
That's about it.
Yeah,
actually, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
But that gets old pretty quick.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Well, I think by my standards, you're pretty hiker trash.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone is to an extent, but
everyone is
with the hitching, the ramen, the nakedness,
the nudity.
You're pretty certified hiker trash.
Yeah. But I think that's a good thing to carry back to the real. It's okay to be a little hiker trash back in our room.
Yeah.
Steal some leftovers off of some place.
Some hiker hacks,
Yeah. Exactly.
Sure.
Some ramen.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for being on the show.
Yeah, it's always great to talk about the trail.
Yeah, I feel like I could talk to you.
Oh, this is
hours.
I mean, we're only stopping because it's dark. Yeah. We got rolling now. I got a couple PBRs in me. Like, shout out to Mike's Shaw's Hostel.
Oh, I love Saws.
Yeah, they were on it with the PBRs.
Really out it. Yeah, good to know. But thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything?
Yeah, hiking AT was a lifelong goal of mine. Really glad it happened. I feel like a common theme of thru hikers, or at least people I've talked to, is, at least for me, like this was something I've been planning out for multiple years. Mm-hmm. Get up there, people are like, "Oh, this is your first thru hike? What's you gonna do next?" And you're like, "Man, I thought this was gonna be like a climactic point in my life to never be touched again." People are out here doing this multiple times. Now I've been back for a while. Part of the adjustment period, I guess, has been falling back in love with things like backpacking and camping and stuff. Mm-hmm. After you kind of tired of it for a while, got my sights probably set on another thru hike, and I think a lot of people catch the buzz like that. And it's exciting to stay in the community in that kind of capacity. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Thanks again for being on the show.
Yeah, man.
If any viewers have any questions at all for me or for any guests, please let me know, because I don't even know how many people are going to watch this, but I'd love to get fresh questions, more than me and ChatGPT can come up with. So that'd be great. And next episode, we're going to get a Sobo on the show.
Oh.
He's going to talk mad shit about Nobos. So. Yeah. He's in that for the next one.
Yeah,
All right. Appreciate you, man.
Of course.